welcome back to the Young Talkers podcast after once again a little longer break due to some scheduling difficulties, but we're back and it's been a big 2 weeks since we were gone. And let's first begin with the huge vaccine news where we had two giant US pharmaceutical companies, Pfizer and Moderna, announced that their vaccines are above 90% effective, 95% to be specific. So,
Right.
your take on
Okay, so I know that the Moderna vaccine is gaining a lot of popularity in India, and even though it is gaining popularity, there is another vaccine that is made by Russia that India has recently imported from them, and it is also 92% effective. So these are the two big vaccines that have come into India, and also obviously the Pfizer vaccine is also very famous because till now it is as proven one of the highest in terms of effectiveness at 95%. What's the deal in US?
Yeah, I mean, that was huge news the day both news came out. The stock market skyrocketed. Like everyone was super happy. But if we take a look at survey numbers for Americans, still majority of Americans and even my family will not take the vaccine when it first comes out because we still don't know like the long-term effects of it. That will only be told as more
True.
and more people take it administered. And the thing about the Russia vaccine is that I heard it's cheaper than the United States vaccine, right? But many like vaccines for major diseases, like for example, the polio vaccine, they have to follow this protocol where they get tested by the WHO and other major countries, and the
Right,
Russian vaccine did not follow that protocol. So
right.
other countries are still questioning the effectiveness of that vaccine.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I think the CEO of Moderna, he recently released a statement because a lot of people were actually getting very happy, and it's obvious that we should be happy that there is a vaccine finally. But he also said that that doesn't mean we can stop wearing masks for the full time. The CEO himself said that we should still continue to wear masks and keep protection because it's 95% effective and it's not 100%. And also, as you said, we don't know the long-term effects of it, so I think it will take a while to fully recover from the situation.
Yeah, I mean, just because one day like the vaccine is approved doesn't mean that day you go out to parties and everything. Herd immunity is only reached at 95% vaccination, and that'll take at least a year for even just the USA, and for the whole world, it'll take 3, 4 years for 95% of the population to be vaccinated. And until then, the coronavirus pandemic will still be there.
Right, true. Okay, let's move on to the elections. A little late result of what's been happening. So, what do you have to say?
Yeah, so Joe Biden officially there was a recount in many states because Trump sued those states as they're pretty close, but in those recounts it only confirmed the results where Joe Biden has won the election. Georgia confirmed it. Michigan is going to confirm it soon, but Trump is obviously going to stop that. And now let's talk about the aftermath of this election on the aftermath within the United States and the aftermath for the whole world, because that's just how big the United States influences. Um, how do you think it'll affect like the international scene of the world, Joe Biden's presidency?
Okay, so I think it would be interesting to see Joe Biden and how he plans to make the international relations. As we all know, that Trump exactly doesn't exactly have the best reputation when it comes to international relations and the kind of tweets and comments he makes. A very controversial person in general. So I think it would be very interesting to see how Joe Biden is going to lead America since the recount is going to happen. And I think we all expected that Trump was going to ask for the recount and he would not agree to leave office.
Yeah, and the thing about Trump not accepting the election is that a lot of other countries are laughing at the United States because the United States is supposed to be a representation of democracy, and the major point of democracy is the transfer of power. And the big thing about Trump accepting the results is that there's a lot of confidential information that a president needs to pass to the new president. And if Joe Biden does not get that information, it could hinder his ability to be a good president for at least the first couple of months. And in terms of within the United States, um, Joe Biden will definitely bring in different ideas in terms of he might raise taxes on the rich, which is what many Democrats want, and he might bring in more stricter coronavirus laws to stop the spread. But some of those things might not happen that fast because simple fact is that Trump is not helping out the new president elect. And
He's still not an acceptance of it. And I think you're right about the COVID-19. That I think if the leader himself believes that COVID-19 was not real, like till he believed it, finally when he himself got COVID-19, he was spreading the message that this is not real, and that's I think the sole reason why the laws weren't so strict. And I feel Joe Biden could be a little more disciplinary in that matter, and that would bring some help.
yeah, we've seen time and time again Trump's COVID-19 rhetoric really harming the people and harming his own family. Like his son got COVID-19 recently, Donald
Yeah,
Trump Jr. And now the United States is past like over 100,000 cases a day, and lockdowns are coming back here, partly because it starts at the top. If the leader is not taking it seriously, then we can't expect the people to
the
take it
country.
seriously.
Yeah, true. Okay, so moving on uh, to a recent topic that has shocked the world, which would be the possible comeback of the ISIS. So there was two main events that happened. One was the Afghanistan's Kabul University, where there was killing at least they killed at least 19 people and 22 were wounded. And this attack was claimed by ISIS. And another big attack that happened was in Mozambique, where 50 people were decapitated, and this was again related to ISIS militants. So I think these are pretty huge events.
Yeah, I mean, from 2010 to 2014, for like Western nations and even India, terrorist groups like Al Qaeda and ISIS were the biggest threat. And for the past 3 years, we've been lucky where we actually stopped that threat. But now we've gone complacent. The world leaders have gone complacent. Trump is removing troops from Afghanistan. India is not as hardline against extremists anymore, and they're coming back. We saw the attacks in France happening, um, and like it's not just affecting the Middle Eastern nations, which are kind of expected. Now it's affecting Western nations, like in Austria, in Vienna, there's a terrorist
Right,
attack,
right. Another attack there. Yeah.
and then in France, there were two terrorist attacks in a church and in a school, and
Right.
it's clear that complacency is not an option because um, you must first just completely destroy extremism.
Right. Also, I think, in my opinion, about the events that occurred in France, the Emmanuel Macron, the president, released when he was talking about this issue. He said that Islam, the state, and the state of the Islamic religion is in crisis, and this had really shocked a lot of people, since a lot of people considered this comment to be Islamophobic to a certain extent, and I think this is what might actually lead to further more extremism in France, because now that the president is making such comments, it's I think triggering more people and offending another big part, because it's they're blaming him for like not thinking that the minority should be ignored, and I think it's just creating bigger conflicts that he said that.
And another indirect consequence of the rise of extremists in Islam is that we saw many Asian people around the world this year facing like racist attacks just because they're Asian, even though they have no part in the coronavirus. They didn't do anything. So we might see more attacks against innocent Muslims who do not believe in extremism, who are actually very good people, and who are just going about their day, but just because of their religion, people think of them as like extremists, and when in reality the majority of Muslims are not extremists. Like,
Right. I think the generalizing is the problem. I think generalizing that religion to terrorism is something that's not good. And I think from personal experience, I can say that because the time I was in New York, I went to the UN headquarters and we were traveling with a school from Pakistan, Bangladesh, and we were the school from India. Right. So we actually all went through the normal machines of the pass through and we got tapped down and stuff. And the school from Pakistan, the teacher was in the attire of a person who follows the Islamic religion, right? And that was very evident. And the teacher was made to go through a different a set of security systems, which I believe that was kind of based on his religion because none of us others were made to go through that. So I think that even though a lot of places they claim not to be Islamophobic, but these small things they lead up to big events, and these are the small things that trigger those few people, and which was gonna like cause further havoc in the world.
yeah, and then within this topic, Emmanuel Macron recently released a new like law. I think he proposed it. I'm not sure if it's a
Yeah.
real law, where all Muslim students must have a ID attached to them so that the French government knows they're going to French schools, not Muslim schools. I'm not sure if that's the exact text, but it's something similar.
Yeah.
And a lot of like Islamic people are criticizing it, comparing it to the Jewish laws in the Nazi Germany, where Jewish people were forced to wear the star
Well, this
on
star,
their
yeah.
shoulder or chest, and so that people would know they're Jewish. And but a lot of French officials are saying it's necessary to curb the spread of extremist Islam. So what do you think? Do you think it's a
I
little?
think the government is going to say that this is to like basically protect them and protect the country from extremism. But I really think that's actually going to make it worse because actually singling the minority out, pointing it out, and making it so evident is going to really make it worse for France because this recent event that has occurred, I think it will lead to a lot of more events and it could turn into a chain. And since we're seeing even the rise of the ISIS, the world may possibly go into a bigger problem of extremism.
And a lot of those terrorist nations, such as ISIS and Al Qaeda, were created as a result of the hatred towards the West, right? Or a hatred towards India, right?
Right.
So this will only increase the hatred for those Muslim kids towards Western nations. And rather than stopping the spread of extremism, it may create more extremists.
Create more
Like
exactly.
it may have had good intentions at heart, but the way it was applied, the way it was executed, might have negative effects against the cause. Like,
True, yeah. They might feel that even though they weren't a terrorist or they maybe were not against all of this, but imagine being singled out and pointed out so much and being criticized so much for just being a part of a religion. I think that would create a lot of anger and frustration inside them.
yeah, I think that's all we're gonna discuss for today.
Yep.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and remember not to judge anyone based on their religion, and stay safe and donate to spark a change.
You guys.
Yeah, see y'all.